Issue 30. Issue episode 38.
Well, he probably is asleep because
Yes.
actually no, it's 4:30 over here, so it'll be his morning time, no?
Probably waking up with morning wood.
Morning glory.
Speak.
Yeah,
Speaking of wood,
go on.
Speaking of wood, I got a load fucking delivered yesterday. Did we mention it?
Yes, and even if we didn't, I'll say yes, just so I don't have to hear this story for the 10th time.
Fucking great wood.
I think.
Well, no, but there is a point to this. I've written it in an email for tomorrow or the day after, and that is when I bought it online, as you do, you know. And when you Google deliver firewood Cork, where I am, or buy firewood online Cork something, I don't know where I live, you probably get at least maybe half a dozen to a dozen people come up because it's a big thing. It's probably bigger around here than it is where you are.
Yeah, definitely.
And firewood, you know. And I bought from the very first one I clicked on. Didn't shop around or anything else. And for all I know, I've got the most expensive fucking firewood in Ireland. I just don't know. So the lesson there is why. Well, the question is, why did I buy firewood without shopping around? Because the experience I had online buying it was easy. It was very, very simple, very straightforward, very clear what they were offering, what the deal was. There was none of this. Where do I find this? When do they deliver? How do they deliver? What happens? It was even very clear about, you know, there are even diagrams of we need a lane this wide to get the truck up. If we can't get the truck up your lane, we'll have to deposit it on the road. You're not okay with that, don't buy from us, that kind of thing. And as it happens, the bloke came all the way up the fucking lane anyway. So he went the extra, well, it's actually 1/6 of a mile, or a third of a mile to go back. But he actually went that extra 1/6 of a mile to deliver it to my yard. And I was quite happy to unload the pallet and put it in my car and bring it up the last bit on my own. So I didn't shop around on price. So even a commodity like firewood, not everyone is a price buyer. So there's a lesson there.
Basically, everyone should just change their target market to middle-aged, well, beyond middle-aged autistic hermits.
Yeah, but my point being, you know, there are things we all want. And you know, let's face it, firewood is the most commoditized fucking thing.
Yeah, you burn it.
You burn it, and it's all the fucking same. It's all fucking wood. I mean, you can piss and moan and argue the toss about the moisture content. You got hardwood or softwood, but the point is, you know, hardwood, kiln dried hardwood from these guys is the same as kiln dry hardwood from anywhere else, and it's probably made by the same fucking people because this was imported from the UK. So there's a fucking good chance there's a fucking great big timber yard out there that does all this stuff, sells it to the middleman who sells it on to us, who then deliver, and then they deliver it. In the same way as if you can buy protein in bulk, you can buy it by the ton. It's about $4,000, and this is what firms do. They buy it, they fucking have it put in their own white label jars or jugs, and they fucking send it out. About 20 years ago, I nearly bought 4K's worth of protein for that purpose. The deal fell through. I didn't do it. So
where
yeah,
would you stored it?
No, they drop ship it.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, that's huge now, even bigger than ever. There's like a middleman to a middleman now for that service.
Yeah, so you know it was. But anyway, the point is, commodity like firewood in rural islands, you still get people who won't price. And I'm not unusual, really, not in that respect anyway.
No,
I'm probably not a typical firewood buyer. But the point is, it just goes to show that you don't have to fucking compete on price. And nowhere on this site did it say, that I saw anyway, nowhere did it say we are cheaper than the competitors, we won't be beaten on price.
Yeah.
Because it was irrelevant. I wasn't thinking about the price, everything else was so good, you know? Anyway.
Because the website's clear and it was the first one you clicked on that was also the top of Google, there's almost like an unspoken air of authority around that as well, to a certain extent, which is why ad campaigns work so well. It really makes me laugh when they survey millennials and whatnot, saying how much do you trust advertising, and the answer is like not many, and then these people try and spiel it as advertising is not as effective as it was before because people have cottoned on to the dirty tricks. It's like, no, you fucking idiot. No, you fucking sausage. You're asking millennials, do they trust large corporations, essentially? Of course they're going to say no. They're all left-leaning tosspots. I believe I may be a millennial myself, but I like it when I see an ad at the top of whatever I search for, or a Google link right at the top, because it's like, this is more likely to be a serious business, because they've probably taken some time to look at their SEO or their advertising, which means I'm probably going to have a better experience on the landing page, because I know Google takes that into consideration as well. So it's more likely to be a well-established, trustworthy company.
What I do find amusing is when you get these people on LinkedIn say, you get Mr. or Mrs. SEO expert. And they make the claim very, very loudly. And if you're not doing SEO, you won't succeed in business.
No, that's stupid.
When you get someone saying, Google Ads, if you're not doing Google Ads, you won't succeed in business. It's all bollocks.
Yeah, it's all bollocks.
All bollocks. I remember one person selling a plugin, and he was selling his expertise on a WordPress plugin that basically was all about SEO, finding keywords. That was what he did. It helped you find keywords. And I remember once he did an affiliate marketing thing, and his message was, if you're not advertising on Facebook, you won't make any money online. And I emailed him and says, do you realize what a stupid thing to say that was? When you are selling SEO stuff and you're saying if people aren't using Facebook, they won't make any money online. You've just shot yourself in the foot, you moron. Because you're essentially saying that your product is shit and won't make anyone any money.
Yeah, go use this other far superior product.
I mean, it's the whole thing of having a fucking hammer and everything's a nail, And people say, I've even seen people saying, if you're not doing cold calling, you won't succeed in business. Bullshit. You won't catch me cold call. I'd rather fucking interfere with children than fucking cold call. I fucking would. Your average fucking cold calling expert, in my opinion, is a lower form of life than a fucking child molester.
Fair enough.
I fucking loathe them. And they always get abuse when they phone me. And the reason is, everyone who fucking cold calls me is breaking the law, because I'm on the telephone preference service. First thing. Second thing is, if they were competent, they would have researched me before cold calling. And if they researched me, they would very quickly know I don't like cold callers and will not respond to them. One, because I'm autistic. Two, because I think they're fucking worse than child molesters. And three, because I don't like talking to cunts on the phone who interrupt my day.
It's just
so they're incompetent fucking. They're like someone who walks down the street, decides they need a shit, and does a fucking shit through your letterbox. They are cold callers personified, and then they go and molest the fucking children. Connor, this is a fact, all right? This is not my opinion. Cold callers are worse than fucking paedophiles and shit through letterboxes, and they do it to old people too. Huh? It's a documented fact that all cold callers shit through old people's letterboxes.
This isn't the 1 minute hate, mate.
No.
This isn't the 1 minute hate.
No, I know.
I'm pretty sure you expressed your disdain towards cold callers yesterday. So, you weren't just making it up.
No.
See, I had a cold caller from Capital something another. Guess how many times they called me?
20.
My phone was on Do Not Disturb. This same lady, I picked up once. We was on the podcast. So I thought it was an important call. It wasn't the time where no, it was a different time. You was in the middle of a rant, and I thought, John's going on for a while. I'm safe to pick this up. You didn't even know I did it. Basically, just this little lady. Hello, it's Katrina from Capital or something. Just put the phone down immediately, put it on Do Not Disturb, because I like to fuck with them. As I told the story before, I like to reschedule them and reschedule them and reschedule them. So I was hoping I'd get her back on the phone at some point to reschedule her. Anyway, at the end of the podcast, I looked at my phone. She called me 27 times.
Fucking hell.
27 times. And I thought, I tell you what, that's not a cold caller I want to fuck about with. You're just getting blocked.
I blocked them first time. I just don't have any part. They are worse than child molesters. It's fucking fact. It's in the Bible. It's just so in the Bible. Honestly, you look in the Bible, it says child molesters, they're not as bad as cold callers. They even have cold calling then. Honestly, they were prescient. I could see the telephone coming.
And one other problem with cold callers is they don't ask the ideal outcome questions to get those higher conversion rates and prices.
No, that was a very fucking smooth segue. I'll give you that, Connor. That wasn't in the slightest bit fucking contrived, was it? No?
I'm impressed with myself.
No one would be sitting there now thinking, how the fuck did he get to that? Has he got something in front of him written down?
Yeah, we just script out the whole podcast word for word.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good thing. I mean, I was. It was very tongue in cheek about the ranty stuff, but when I said about cold callers being incompetent, I meant it. If they did any work at all on their prospect list, they would realise this guy is a non-starter, because anything they know about me, anything they read about me would scream out, just don't bother. It's fucking plain to anyone. I do not get on the phone with people. So you're already at a non-starter. If you want to call, you fucking book a call. They're already on the wrong foot. And I remember posting about this on LinkedIn once, and someone was saying, I bet you're the easiest sell ever. That's why you're resistant to it. No, absolutely fucking not. Talk about someone with confirmation bias.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
No, I'm resistant to cold calling, not because I'm an easy sell, but because you're fucking worse than a child molester, mate. Sorry. That's what. So
I can't. What?
They are. Statement. It's just fucking needy and attention-seeking fucking disruption of my day, and that, like you say, they're not even asking the right questions.
No,
they're not even asking the right questions. It's all the word, and this is what I usually get. You know, I would say hello. I know what's coming, so I've got this resigned tone of voice. Hello. Oh, hi. Is it Jonathan? Yeah, speaking. What do you want? Oh, this is from so and so, capital say. What? And here's what they then say. Just to talk about your account on such and such.com. And I was like, I haven't got a fucking account on that website. You're immediately fucking lying. You're not asking anything. You come out, you basically walked down my street, you've shat through my letterbox, and then you've opened the door and pissed on it. You know, this is the kind of level of competence these people have got. They're not asking me any questions about what I want, what my problem is. It's just fucking pathetic. It's nauseating. Now, what people tend to do when they're asking the wrong questions, and they do start asking questions. Let's say we've got someone who's a little bit up the further up the evolutionary tree than a fucking slug, right? They will ask all kinds of questions which are based around their fucking hammer for the nail they can see in front of them. So what they do is they tend to ask what we call, and this will be familiar to most people, I'm sure, they ask closed questions.
What is a closed question, just in case?
A closed question is one that you can be answered with just a single yes or no. So, would you like to hear about an opportunity in the financial sector? No. Where do they go from that? Really? And saying a no isn't just a negation of what you've just said. It can change the whole flavour of the conversation, your whole physical demeanour. No, it's a no. No, you're wasting my time. I've already told you no. Mm-hmm. It's, I wouldn't say it's impossible to recover from that, but you got an upwards fucking slog. You're not, you got someone who's just not interested. Would you like to hear? Have you got a minute to talk? No. No, I haven't. And even if I had, I wouldn't. So fuck off. So really, we've got six magic words which elicit, if you want to elicit information. And I'm not talking about cold calling it, because I do not. I mean, I know it works. People do it, and some people do it very well. And I'm sure some people enjoy it. And some people don't mind being cold called. I fucking do, and I wouldn't do it either. I think it's horrible. But there are 6 magic words we use, or you can use, to frame an open question. And an open question is one which requires a more thoughtful answer. And now I think a lot of people are afraid to do it, because we'll come back to the words in a minute, but I think people like to ask open questions because they're hoping for a yes. And sometimes people will phrase a closed question in a way that almost demands agreement. So they'll say, "You'd like to make more money, wouldn't you?" Yeah, because they try to get into what they call the yes set. repeatedly saying yes, hoping that when they ask you to buy it, you'll also say yes. I mean, that may work, but it certainly doesn't work on anyone with half a fucking brain.
I remember reading that if you get your prospect to say yes 6 times before asking for the sale, you're X amount of times more likely to make the sale.
Yeah,
that's the biggest load of bollocks I've ever heard.
I think that's a load of bollocks.
You know, as you say, twist the knife, you know. So sometimes, are you happy with your current situation? If they go yes, that's not
for that.
Yeah. No, you want them to go, no, I'm fucking petrified. I don't want to move back in with my mother-in-law.
Exactly. So, you know, asking closed questions is almost safe because it feels like you are shepherding them down a pathway with your questions. It's like a decision tree. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, until you get to the sale. I think that's a very superficial way of looking at sales, and it's also a very naive way of looking at selling. And I also think it's the difference between what we call transactional selling, where you're just selling a hammer to hit everything that you see as being a nail, and transformational selling, where you actually want to know what these people's challenges are to see if you can solve them, if there's a way forward, which is what we do. You know, when we get people, while they want to join us in Foundations, say, or Elite, they have to go through an application process where we genuinely ask them, well, what is your problem? What is your fucking problem? You know, we ask them, what is your challenge? Now, we know most guys and girls are suffering from one of these three: not enough clients, the right kind of clients, not enough for the right kind of prices, and no repeatable sales pipeline. Is there anything, you know, what else is there? And we will, and if they come to us with something we cannot or do not want to help them with, we'll tell them so. So we ask these questions, these searching questions to get information, not to steer them. That's the difference. Now, you can use them also to steer, but that's a whole level above what we're going to be talking about today, because it's quite a specialist skill, which we, of course, do have. Now, the 6 magic words then are which, what, where, who, why, and how. So it's the 6 W's, because how begins with W if you look at it in the mirror. Whoa. Yeah, but which, what, where, who, and why. And they require if you ask that question of someone, and they go inside, that they answer it, they have to start thinking through their experiences and their situation to give you an answer. Of course, you're not guaranteed to get an answer because they just might not want to talk to you. So like a cold caller me and saying, hi, John, what is it you're looking for in your financial services? Nothing, fuck off. Go and molest some other child who shit through their letterbox, not mine. You know? So it's not guaranteed to it, no matter what the fucking sales gurus say. If your prospect is someone who's just not amenable to your approach, you ain't selling jack shit. So that's fundamental. But when you do have someone in front of you, say someone's approached you because you've got inbound marketing, not outbound, then you want to be asking, for the most part, not always, but for the most part, open questions. I mean, there is a place for closed questions, and I'll give you an example in a second. But for the most part, open questions. So, what is your challenge? How does that feel when this happens? Yeah. Where are you getting new prospects? What are you doing about your challenges? Who's helping you? Yeah. Who would you like to help you? Why is this important to you? How do you propose to do that? All these things require a bit of thought. And if you are clever with what you're doing, and I don't mean clever as in sneaky, I mean clever as in you're intelligent and you do have your prospects' best interest at heart as well as your own, you can steer them with questions like that, because you can, as we should, back the ambulance up to the door, make those fucking skeletons dance, and make them see the enormity of their situation. So a great example of that woman who told me she and her husband would have to move back in with her his mother-in-law, you know. So how would you feel about that? What do you think the outcome of that's going to be, the effect of that's going to be on your marriage, and any plans to have children, say? That kind of thing, because she told me that she was wanting children and that was going to be a struggle. So a really simple way to do this often, again, asking questions, is listen to what you're being told by people and then feed back their answer to them and ask them how they feel about that. If they feel bad about it, because then these are the kinds of questions we're asking, they'll tell you. And they are being forced to see then their own situation they are not happy in their own words. That's very different from asking closed, like, you don't like that, do you? Well, hang on a minute. I don't like being told what I do and do not like.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot less of aggressive. And you'll generally get better results. Now, when it is appropriate to use a closed question is when you want a yes or no answer, such as, like we do a sales script, say, or a sales process, beg your pardon, sales call. At the end of it, we've said to people in the past, you know, at the beginning of the call, we will say to them, when we get to the end, I'm going to ask you whether you're going to join us, yes or no. Is that okay? Well, that's a closed question. That's an appropriate closed question. It wouldn't be inappropriate to say, how would you feel about giving me a direct answer at the end of the call? Yeah, but that doesn't guarantee you're going to get one. A closed question would be, I expect a yes or a no. Is that okay? If it's yes, we can. If it's no, well, in that case, we'll have this call when that is okay. And also, anyway, when you get to the end of the call, you ask an open question to end it and say, okay, what else would you like to know about what we've talked about today? Questions do you have? Anything like that? Yeah. So they then have to go inside and think, well, is there anything else? More questions, great, answer the question. Okay, so what else would you like to know? And when they say nothing, fine. That's the time for the next closed question, which is okay. In which case, all I need to know is, are you in or out? Or is it a yes or is it a no? Are you going to join us or you're not going to join us? Then it's appropriate to ask the closed question, because that's what you want, because you need to move forward. And moving forward is either moving forward by saying no and going somewhere else to your next prospect, or moving forward, yes, I'd like to go ahead, right, on board them. So, you know, closed questions do have their place, but like everything, they have their place. And their place isn't just everywhere because you're a coward or you're seeking to bully, browbeat and harangue and badger and harass people into doing it your way. These questions are really fucking fundamental to getting to people's outcomes. Now, how do you feel about that? They'll fucking tell you. Now, there's one question we can ask. I call it the miracle question. I fucking love it.
This question changed my life when you taught it to me, I have to say. Yeah, I have to say, it's just so perfect that just in so many situations, it's just such a great fucking question, especially when you got some cunt who loves to ramble. You can just slice through them and just be like, right, you know, when you want to get to the real meat and bones.
Yeah, I mean, I've been using this question for at least, well, before I came to Ireland, so at least 14, 15 years. And I got it from a guy called Jamie. I can't remember his last name, but he used to run an NLP training school, Salad Limited or something. I don't know if he's still going even. I'll have a look, because he's a nice guy. I mean, I'm very skeptical about NLP and the rest of it. It's a lot of bullshit. It's one of those things that it has useful. Jamie Smart, that's right. Salad Limited. saladlimited.co.uk. You know,
fair enough.
It has its uses, but you know, like copywriting has its uses. Of course it does. But when copywriters say they can compel you to buy things, oh, please fucking leave it out. Well, like NLP people, they seem to think it's, yeah, we understand how the brain works. No, you fucking don't. Yeah. You can guarantee when some motivational professional cockwomble says, I know how the brain works, or I can tell you how the brain works, the Dunning-Kruger effect guarantees they do not know how the brain works. You know, we've got engineers, scientists, biologists, physicists, mathematicians, all manner of technicians, genuine doctors, neuroscientists, all these people, all of them have been working tens of thousands, maybe millions of these people working hard, and they still don't know how the brain works. But some complete twat with a fucking NLP master's certificate suddenly does. I don't fucking think so somehow. So, you know, they have their place. And this question I got from Jamie Smart. And it's really simple. And if you ask it of people, be prepared for a long answer. And then people, when you ask it, I mean, I know it sounds like hype what I'm doing now, but when you ask this question, if you ask it at the right time, which is often like the last thing you'll ask people, you tend to get one or two answers. You get a kind of very short answer, which doesn't give you much information, or you'll get someone who spills their entire life story to you, including about their divorce and how they had children or parents who didn't care about them when they were kids and didn't love them, all that kind of stuff. You get the full life story, and the people who, the more they tell you, the better prospects they are, because the more they're engaged with you. And the question's really simple. So if you've got a pen and paper, write this down, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't, go and get one quickly. In the meantime, here's some music. Right, got your pen and paper? So the question is this. If you need to set the context. So if something was perfect, so you might say, so Connor, tell me, if you came into work tomorrow morning, sat at your desk, and your business was perfect, or you might say, if you got up in the morning and spoke to your wife and you embraced her, and it was perfect. So setting the context. If something was perfect, if the thing you desired, the thing we've been talking about was perfect, how would you know? Those last 4 words, how would you know, are huge, because it's a really difficult question to answer succinctly. So if you embraced your wife in the morning, your marriage was perfect, how would you know? If you got into work on Monday morning and there'd been a miracle over the weekend, how would you know? And your business was perfect, how would you know? To answer that question properly takes a lot of thinking. We use it a lot in our work.
Yeah,
both in our spoken work, like sales calls and things maybe, and indeed I use it in our written work too, in the application forms sometimes.
Yeah, when you ask a prospect that, they are literally bearing all of their hidden secret chest things that you can just directly attack and use for your benefit in the sales process.
Yeah, and I want to be clear about this. I mean, Connor used the word attack there. I don't want people to think that this is an underhanded, sly, sneaky question, because it's not. Because look, I want us to take a step back. We're all salespeople in business. We have to be, because that's what we're in business for, to sell. Ultimately, we have to. We need cash flow, and our jobs are always about solving problems. And if we can solve our client's problem, it's our duty to sell to them. And we won't know if we can solve their problem or not unless we ask questions like this. Now, it is not disingenuous or in any way dishonest to find out what someone's problems are and what their fears are in the pursuit of, well, can we solve this for them? I'll give you a kind of parallel here. The dating game. Right? When I was hopeless with girls, because being autistic, I just don't get the body language. I don't get the facial expressions. I don't get the hints. I've missed so many shags in my life. I've been told years later. I was fucking told, right, that the hottest girl in the school, from primary school way up to secondary school, the hottest girl in the school had the fucking hots for me for all those years. We were childhood friends. Of course, I was told this in my late 20s, early 30s. Years after the fact. Oh, Sally, why didn't you tell me at the time? You were the object of. Well, I got through so many fucking Kleenex and gym stocks thinking about her, and she fucking had the hots for me. Anyway, so when I was 30 actually, and I started working as a doorman, I realised seduction, if you like, or attracting girls was a process. So I studied it. A guy called Ross Jeffries and a couple of others. Neil, what's his name, did The Game. The guy's a bit of a dick, to be honest. I've never read Neil Strauss. I've never read the book, but it was that era back in, say, looking at 20-something years ago, and I realised it was a process. All right, your phone now. I realised it was a process, and it was repeatable and learnable. But it was just a sales process. People have said to me, "Oh, it's cheating." Somehow, seducing a woman by eliciting from her information about what turns her on and what buttons she likes having pressed, and then pressing them is somehow wrong. But what they don't understand is seduction is something you do with somebody, not to them. In the same way as we like being sold to by competent, decent salespeople. I like being sold bikes, computer software, shit. I like being sold stuff. What I don't like is someone telling me what I should be buying. Yeah. A huge difference. So in the same, it is not disingenuous, dishonest, sly, sleazy, or anything else to find out from people, well, what's your problem? If your life was perfect, how would you know? Because then you've got the information to be able to say, all together in this big bucket, to be able to say, okay, yeah, I can do that. I can help you with that. We can do this together, which is a lot more honest and decent than saying, yeah, I don't need to know what the problem is. I've got this fucking hammer. Yeah, look, I've got this fucking hammer, and your problem is probably going to be a nail. If it's not a nail, we can make it look like one. You know, that's dishonest and sleazy.
Yeah. When I said attack, I feel like
I know
I
what you
need
mean.
to stick up. I know that you know what I mean, but I feel like I need to stick up for myself now. When I say attack, you attack it with solutions. Here's how we'll do it for you. And I just want to echo what you just said. You could argue it's almost your duty. Say you're designing a kitchen. I think it's a perfect question to ask someone if you're designing a kitchen. If you was to wake up tomorrow morning, you put your slippers on, your dressing gown, and you walk down the stairs and open the door to your kitchen, it was perfect. How would you know?
Same with a bathroom or a bedroom or a house or a garden.
It's a really good question to ask yourself as well, because a lot of people are unclear with what they want and where they want to go in life. But that question, they might be foggy for a couple of minutes, but eventually they'll get to some desirable outcomes that they'd like to achieve.
Well, it's the kind of question, I think it's actually at the end of the, not the Business Accelerator, it's certainly, I think it's at the end of the Kickstart in the Foundations group. It's not, it probably should be. And it's the kind of question where if you do it properly, you could be sitting there for a couple of hours writing. And you said it changed your life, and it could be life-changing. It won't be life-changing for everyone.
No.
But it could be life-changing quite easily. It wouldn't be unusual. And I've been using it, like I say, for 14, 15 years at least, since I got it from Jamie Smart. And, you know, credit where it's due. And I've had people tell me it changed my life, including you. Because they are forced, if they want to answer it honestly, they are forced to sit there and confront themselves. How would I know? And now, to give a kind of concrete examples of where people might not be doing that, because people always say, I'm always honest with myself. They're not. Okay. It's, say on LinkedIn, people are always writing about how their goals are. They want to have this big business, and they write about their aspirations. And I get the feeling a lot of them, that's not their aspirations at all. They're doing that because that's what they think a business person should do. That's what's expected on LinkedIn. And if they actually sit there honestly and say, okay, how would I know my life was perfect by my own measure? And if you're brutally honest with themselves, they will come to some conclusions which probably aren't necessarily mainstream. You know, good example to lighten the mood somewhat. I remember reading, it might have been in the Daily Mail, some guy in Wales. I don't even know why it was news. It was just fucking hilarious. He left his fucking wife to go and live with his dominatrix as her slave.
Oh, wow. Now,
whatever you think about that, it's no one else's business but his and theirs, or hers, because it just isn't. You know. But what I would take my hat off to the guy and respect 100% what he's done, because he fucking had an idea and he went for it. And it's his life. It might be, you know, his wife has no claim on him other than the divorce. You know, none of us have to stay with the marriage contract says. Yeah, none of us have to stay with a spouse. And, you know, give the guy fucking credit. He saw something he wanted and he went for it, and he didn't give a shit what other people thought. You know, you've got to respect, but I think you should respect that. Even if you don't agree with someone, like respecting your enemies and their honor. You know? It's
like Hitler, isn't it? Fuck me, did a despicable thing, but Jesus Christ, it's admirable the way he fucking rallied the troops.
He was a vegetarian too. All these people who say, I'm a vegetarian as if it makes them some kind of decent person. Hello, I'm old fucking Hitler was a vegetarian. He murdered 6 million Jews. Fuck's sake. Now, for the watcher, Connor is sucking on a very large canister. It's his fucking drink bottle. 10 quid off Amazon, isn't it? 12 quid. And the reason he's done that is his previous bottle, broke?
Oh, for fuck's sake. I forgot we said we'd bring this up.
Yeah, that's your fucking problem, not mine. So, what happened to your previous bottle? What happened to your previous bottle?
This has to be saved for a start of a podcast, because retention rates and all of this, that, and the other. And we like to have things to open but
at least let me tease them.
Yeah, tomorrow.
What happened to your previous bottle?
I don't know where it is.
Right, you lost it. Now, Connor does have another bottle on the way, but that story, join us tomorrow and we'll tell you, or Monday now. Join us on Monday, we'll tell you what happened to that. It's fucking hilarious. It's the funniest thing since a friend of mine spent 120 quid on an iPhone cover handmade out of wood. And by the time it arrived, the phone was out of date and the damn thing broke in the first week of using it. And that cost 120 quid. But anyway, right, Monday. So I guess it's the 1 minute hate then, isn't it?
I don't see how my story's funnier than that. That sounds fucking hysterical. He's ordered a phone case and it's taken so long to come. It's out of date and it broke.
It was literally a year or two. And she kept getting emails saying, it's almost done, it's on its way, we've almost perfected the design. I mean, give them fucking a 10 out of 10 for effort. 0 out of 10 for achievement.
This sounds painfully familiar, to be honest.
Yes, I know it does. Another tease there.
Go on. What's your 1 minute hate?
My 1 minute hate is fucking people who say it's just a label. And I'm talking specifically about autism here. But it's the same with anything, really.
Same with any disability.
Any disability and any trait by which people identify themselves.
Are you ready, Captain?
I'm always ready for you, big boy.
Hey, Siri. Hey, Siri. Start a timer for 1 minute.
1 minute, starting now.
Right. People who say autism is just a label, they should be taken out into the woods, shot, buried in a shallow grave, dug up a week later, shot a second time to make sure, then fed to the fucking dogs. Why? Because it's crass and it's ignorant. It's actually fucking bigoted. They would not say the same thing to a person who was gay, transgender, black, lesbian, or anything else. They wouldn't dream of saying it. Oh, it's just a fucking label. Not unless they wanted to punch in the fucking face and have their throats ripped out, they wouldn't. But oh no, they all say autism is just a label. It is fucking not. It is fundamental. We spend our entire lifetimes until diagnosis thinking, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why am I like this? Why the hell have I been dropped on this fucking planet full of strange things that aren't human like I am? And then we get diagnosed, and you think, at last I have an explanation for everything. It explains my past, it explains my present, and it will help me plan for the future. Then you get some fucking neurotypical cockwomble say, oh, well, autism's just a label. I know people who won't get their children diagnosed because they don't want their children labeling. That's child abuse.
That is child abuse.
It is child abuse. Because what they don't realise is that by having the child diagnosed, especially children, if they get a child diagnosed, they will get support. Because what they don't seem to fucking get into their thick, stupid, fucking shit for brain heads is the child doesn't feel better for having no label. The child is still thinking, why the fuck am I like this? Why is my life like this? Yeah? It doesn't make them any less autistic because you've got your fucking head in the sand or stuck at your own arsehole. What it does is it makes things very, very difficult because the child has no explanation. And then trying to help the child pretend, oh, it's okay, we can cope with this. It's torture. It's a form of fucking child abuse.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but
always.
My understanding of that is they're almost prioritizing social status, to some extent, over the actual livelihood of the child.
I don't know about almost always, but it's certainly a huge thing. That I mean, there's denial. It's often denial, which is based in guilt. It's my fault the child's autistic because they don't realise it's genetic, and even if they do, then it's my fault, it's my genes. But you'd have no control over it. I mean, there's a lot of epigenetics in this. The genetics predisposes towards autism, and maybe something in the womb sparks it off. It's not clear yet, but it's certainly it's almost certainly external factors, but they're not quite sure what they all are yet. Vaccines are not one of them, by the way. So if you think that, fuck off, keep fucking off, fuck off all the way it's possible to fuck off and just stay fucked off forever. So, yeah, I mean, so there's denial, there's mixed feelings of guilt, there's shame and embarrassment. There's almost this idea of if we don't acknowledge it, we can ignore it. What you don't realise is this isn't about you, you fucking cunt. This is about your child. If your child is autistic, he or she will grow up autistic, will be an autistic adult, and will die autistic. And all you're doing is making it harder and harder and harder for that child to have a fucking happy life. That's what you're doing. Whether you mean to or not, that's what you're doing. And you are a fucking child abusing piece of shit if that's what you do.
I do imagine there is there is a subsection that think they're doing the best thing by their child.
Oh, they
by
all
not
do.
getting a
Of course they do.
diagnosis. Oh, well,
Of course they do.
yeah, of course they all do. But some of them are just like, oh, we don't want to do the label thing. You know, it'll limit their careers. It'll limit this. It'll limit that.
Yeah. And what they don't, what people don't understand is, it's not like I could pretend. It's not like if I didn't self-identify as being autistic, it's not as if anyone would say, oh, John's just normal. I'd have never guessed if you hadn't told us. Every fucker knows who knows me in any way, shape or form. Everyone knows there's something not quite fucking right about me. At least now we know why that is. It's not, oh, John's just an ignorant fucking prick. It's John's an ignorant autistic prick. And
on that note, let's end the podcast.
End of the podcast, yeah. So, if you want to make more money, less work, less hassle, fewer headaches, by attracting better clients, selling at higher fees, rates or prices, and having them all delivered to you within your business by a pipeline, which itself is filled automatically, hands-off and in the background by systems and processes, then what you need to do is go to ottpodcast.co.uk and grab the free stuff there and listen to this and other episodes. Have I missed anything?
Yeah.
No. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay inside, wash your hands. Please do not ever fucking say to me it's just a label unless you want your throat ripping out. And do not shit on your fingers. See you later. Ta-da.
Ta-da.